Today we're going to go over how to animate your Daz Studio characters in IClone 7 and then export them over to Blender 3D. Welcome friends, I'm Will Whitfield with W3 Productions. The reason you may want to do this is that maybe your final render engine will be Blender. However, iClone seems to be a pretty good place to animate your characters versus trying to animate them in Daz Studio. So today I'm working in Daz Studio 4.12, iClone 7, the latest as of December of 2019, and Blender 2.81. So let's go ahead and get started. In our Daz Studio scene right here, we have a Genesis 8 male character that I want to export over. It is recommended that you start off with a classic T-pose, but it's not absolutely necessary. But and because some things we're going to modify to the character, the T-pose may be lost anyway. As far as iClone 7, you will need the pipeline version, not just the Pro version, but the pipeline version in order to get characters out of iClone 7 and 3D Exchange into Blender. Because without 3D Exchange or being pipeline version, you can't take them out of iClone 7. So the first thing you're going to need is there's going to be if you get the pipeline version, there's going to be a iClone or Genesis to iClone Exchange zip file that you're going to download, and you can download it anywhere you want to on the computer as long as you remember where it's at. I put mine in I left mine in my downloads folder. iClone Genesis extension version 4, and in this folder you're going to have several folders for different versions of Genesis characters. In my case, I want to go to the Genesis 8 male. And before you apply this DUF file to your character, you want to open this README. And it's basically saying step 1 is to copy this Reallusion folder to this directory. So you just copy that directory, open up File Explorer, let's see, go to that directory, which is basically where your morphs live for each character type. Genesis 8 male in this case. And you would copy this Reallusion folder to here. I've already done so in my case. Then the second step is to drag this DUF file, the iClone face keys data, on top of your character. So make sure your character is selected, otherwise this will error out. Then grab this file and drag it on top of your character. It's going to ask, do you want to go beyond the limits of your current project? Yes. After that is done, you'll notice that your scene is over 2400 frames long. This would take a very long time to export, so Reallusion's advice is to change the FPS, frames per second, to 1. Now you're only dealing with 81 frames to export. And this is containing some of the face key values needed for iClone to work with your character in. So that's why you're doing that. Now it's time to export your character from Daz Studio via the FBX file format. So go to File, Export, name your file, save, and these are the options that you're going to want to go with. Figures, if you have more than one thing in your scene, just hit select it for whatever character you want to export. Animations, limits, morphs, make sure you're using FBX 2012 binary, embed textures, merge clothing into figure skeleton, allow degraded skinning, allow degraded scaling. Also, click on Edit Export Rules. If you see anything besides Final Anything Bake, delete it. The only thing you should have here is Final Anything Bake. After that, hit Accept. It'll take a while to export the character. Anytime there's a lot of waiting, I'll go ahead and speed up the video to move past those parts. Alright, now we have an exported character. We should no longer need Daz Studio open. You're going to close that out. Would you like to save? You should save your character. I'm not going to do it just because it's for tutorial purposes only. And now we go to the Reallusion Hub, install it on your computer, and we're going to open IClone 3D Exchange pipeline version. Go to File, Open. Let's find our character. Now, I will warn you that, let's move over here. Anything over 100 megabytes tends to fail. This one's only 60 megabytes, so it should be fine, but what happens if it's over 100, more often than not, it will just error out or just close out without error, and you won't know what happened. It just closes. So if you have too much going on, like complex hair or clothing, you might have to export those separately by unparenting the character or the clothing or hair from the character and then exporting it separately, then reattaching it in IClone 7. I usually leave these at default values. I hit OK. Alright, now would you like to convert this to a non-standard talking character with the text that is a Genesis 8 character? So yes, want to hit yes on that prompt. And this talks about the facial animation clips and motion library, which we use as import data for the expression editor. You want to import them? Yes. Yes, you do. And would you like to apply iClone optimized material settings? I usually say yes, let's go ahead and do that. And here's a preview version of our character. In the next step, we just hit apply to iClone. That sends the character to IClone 7 and opens up the application, and the character will load automatically. Alright, IClone 7 has opened up, and it is now about to import our character in the middle of the scene. Alright, here is our character imported into IClone 7. Let's pan up here. We can see our character's face and everything. And you can make a number of changes to your character, just like if you had a character native to iClone 7 or Character Creator 3. As a matter of fact, I may do another video showing how to import the character here using Character Creator 3 versus using 3D Exchange. But for right now, all I'm going to do in here is add a walking animation. So if our character is selected, I'm going to go to Content, go to Motions. Let's see, try to find a good walking animation. I might just go here and type in Gonna take a while if I do that. So let's go to mail motion. Try mode 3, see what's in here. You know, not maybe if I don't see a walking animation, I see something else interesting. Let's see what boxing glove is. Let's see, boxing defense 2, boxing defense 1. Let's try this. Now I'm going to hit play. Hit pause. So that was okay. And that ended at, just keep in mind that ended at frame 160. So I'm not going to export the whole, I think it's 1800 frames in this default scene. No need to export all that. So I'm going to hit export and export FBX. I found that if you only have 3D Exchange Pro that you could not, this option would not be available to me. So range, I don't want to export everything, about 160. Everything else, these are the options you may want to use depending on your scene. Hit export. Call it a little something different because again you're using the same FBX format, so you don't want to necessarily use the same exact file name you did before or it'll overwrite that. So I'm getting a different name so I can import to Blender. Alright, I believe I'm done here, so I'll close IClone 7. Be sure to save your project. I won't be saving mine, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and open Blender. Again, we're in Blender 2.81. Going to delete the default cube. Delete this lamp. And then open. Let's go to import FBX. Go where I save my characters, and I believe I called it boxing something, boxing IClone. Here we are, import FBX. It's gonna take a moment. Alright, we have our character imported into Blender 3D. Let's scroll in here, take a look. I'm going to select the armature because the bones are so large. I'm going to remove their visibility from the viewing area just to get a better look. You already see here, if you watch my other videos about exporting straight from Daz to Blender using the FBX format, we used to have problems with the fingers being way distorted, and we don't seem to have that here when we go through IClone. So clearly this is a much superior option for animating your Daz characters. And as we scrub the timeline, we can just see that brief boxing defense animation. So we still have to do some cleanup here. We have to get the materials that have opacity or transparency to them enabled if you're going to use the Eevee render engine. So I'm going to start with the hair. I don't think this hair has any alpha transparency to it, but just in case. You can usually tell when open up preview here. However, usually it's materials that have a image texture being fed here. You'll see a name instead of a number. But anyway, what you do is you go down to settings, blend mode, and change it to alpha hashed. going to see if this character has any eyelashes. It does. So that would definitely need. You see it's white right here. If you go down and change it. Or if this alpha value is less than 1, then you also want to change it to alpha hash. You see now it's got some transparency to it. Same thing for the eyelash material. Although this one's set to 1, so I'm not sure it's going to make much of a difference. I think it's just a solid block for that type of eyelash. Now we clicked on the actual character mesh. And let's look at different materials. Usually it's just the eyes. So things dealing with that. Not the eye socket, but something like eye moisture. We're going to change that. That is being less than 1. Change that to alpha hash. Let's look at cornea. Let's look at irises. Probably doesn't need it, but it won't hurt. Sclera. I usually change that too. And for this type of character, I believe that's it. So I'm going to quickly change this to look dev. See how it's going to look. But before I do that, there's an add-on I didn't know about that's pretty cool. You can go to get to enable it in your preferences, but for lighting, you can do a 3-point light setup. It's a pretty quick 3-point light setup, so that is neat. You can change each one, and they'll remove them. They'll keep pointing at the root of your object that you have. I believe, yeah, if you move your object that are focused on, the lights will move with it. So that is pretty cool. They won't move themselves, but they'll rotate to keep pointing at it. Anyways, I'm going to go to, actually I'm going to go to rendered view. And we have a pretty good looking character in Blender 3D. Turn on a few more options here. Where's my main light? Key, fill, key. 10. It doesn't really. Anyway, you gotta play with the lighting. Just do look diff right now, and I'll probably want to turn down the shininess on that shirt, and the specularity is way too high, so just adjust that. Nope, that wasn't it. What was? Oh, roughness is way too low. Turn the roughness up, and that should get rid of that issue. Other than that, that is pretty much it. The basics of how to get a Daz Studio character animated in IClone 7, then sent over to Blender 3D. Hopefully you found this helpful. Please consider subscribing to this channel for more tutorials, and leave a like button down below. And I hope to see you in the comment section. Thanks. Have a blessed day.